Hello and welcome back to Princess Evangile. Every day after that, Ayaka-san stood out in the cold, campaigning for school reform. Naturally, she seemed very nervous during her first time speaking in front of people. By contrast, Rise-san had been calm and collected from the start. But gradually, she found her way. And the most important thing was that she kept speaking from the heart. Part of why I noticed it, of course, was, well, because I knew of her family circumstances. But the audience listened seriously, and they didn't seem to take it too badly at all. However, the headmistress must have felt some concern about it, because she came to every speech, watching Ayaka-san from a distance. This time, however, the chairwoman was beside her. Ayaka has certainly changed. To be honest, I never expected to see her so passionate about anything. I suppose falling in love with Miseo-kun was the best thing that ever happened to her. When she acts this way, she really is just like Tomi-san. Tomi? That's right, you have mentioned a Tomi before. Whatever happened to her? Nothing. Tomi was your best friend back in your school days, wasn't she? You were always together, I still remember. Were we really? What? Sometimes I wonder if Tomi-san and I really were friends at all. Didn't think that you weren't? Misako's voice trembled uncertainly. She had always been very restrained, but lately she was letting more come to the surface. I betrayed her, betrayed Tomi-san terribly. I know. Huh? Misako was shocked by that. She stared down at the chairwoman's petite body. The statute of limitations has expired, so I suppose I can tell you. She spoke to me about you and her husband's affair. So, she did know about it. God. What did Tomi-san say, Madam Chairwoman? What good would it do to know at this late date? What good? If she had survived, there might have been a point to it, but Tomi passed away almost 20 years ago. What good would it do to pass on words to someone said so very long ago? That's... Would you feel better if she said that she forgave you? What if she said she still hated you? It's in the past now, Misako. I think it would be better to face the present than to remain tortured by the past. Yes. Someone had said something like that to her very recently. But who could it have been? Ah, it appears to be over. And the sound of applause brought Misako back to reality. Back to life, back to reality. Sorry, couldn't resist. The students were applauding fervently, and Ayaka had always been seen as an outsider. Misako never thought a day would come when she would be accepted by the students like this. She is formidable, but no matter what happens here, Ayaka will graduate soon, and whether Miseo-kun stays here or not has nothing to do with her. So why then is she pouring her heart into school reform? Madam Headmistress, do you know the reason? I do not. Misako's face twisted as if in pain. In the end, I'm finding that I don't know anything about Ayaka-san. I see. I never tried to know anything. And for so long, Ayaka and I... It's not too late to start. You'll remain mother and daughter for the rest of your lives. Misako closed her eyes tightly, and then shook her head back and forth like a child. And all the wild thought ran through her mind. That was a heck of a Freudian slip, wasn't it? And all the wine... Oh, no, wait. Thing that isn't booze related. All this time I've been turning my eyes away from the truth. Good lord. I figured the grand vote would be in chapter 26. Phew. Stretching yourself like this is really exhausting. Ayaka-san rolled her neck around as if working out knots in her shoulders. The reaction was amazing, though. If things do turn around, I'll know we owe it mostly to you, Ayaka-sama. Thank you for saying that. They really were shocked, weren't they? seeing you act so passionately about something. It's just expectations. I'm nowhere near Rise, but she's had the weight of everyone's expectations from the start. Either way, the candidate cannot conduct an election campaign by herself. I have no complaints at all. As long as you win, anyway. Yes. This is a change of subject, but would Rusin Kori-san be your mother, Rise? Yes. What about her? Did you know that our mother was friends with Kori-san during her school days? With the headmistress? I didn't. Rise's voice has gone weird again. Rise-san seemed to be taken off guard by the subject. What is the headmistress's first name, by chance? Misako. Ah, then they might have been close. My mother says that name quite often. But what about it? Let me ask you one more thing before I explain, though, while you might not actually know. Do you think Kori-san and mother exchanged rosaries? Attempt to confess on, you mean? Yes. Probably. Rise-san nodded, then spoke up as if making an excuse. My mother loves talking about the past. That's why I know. I see. It's just as I thought. She was your mother, so I assumed Kori-san was quite popular back in school. It appears that she was. I see. So that's why mother lost the grand vote. I wonder if the reason Tomi-san ran for president was because of a sort of triangle between them. What? Excuse me, everyone. And Ayaka-san looked around at everyone except for Rise-san. There's something I need to talk about with just the four of us. Would you mind leaving us alone for a minute? Once the others had left, Ayaka-san explained the whole situation. I can't believe it. That's why I wanted to ask for your help in this one thing. Do you think you can? Yes, of course, I'll do anything I can. Thanks. Ayaka-sama, you said before that you've come to want school reform for yourself. Is that the reason why? Yeah, I guess. Now, about tomorrow. Yeah, I figured the grand vote to be chapter 26, because I think that's the last one, isn't it? I mean, I'm pretty sure this is part 60 of this Let's Play, so, you know, Jesus. But, the next day, after the grand vote, Ayaka-san visited the headmistress to speak to her. I think I've earned the right to speak to you, don't you think, Mother? Rise. It is known as solid coal. It just shows that her influence was stronger in the end. Ever since Ayaka-san started helping, support for the White Lilies clearly started going up. I was about to interject when Ayaka-san stopped me with a hand. Solid coal. That phrase means a lot to you, doesn't it? What are you suggesting? Nothing in particular. I wish I could have just blamed you as your daughter. But I guess that couldn't save you in the end. The headmistress shook her head, looking somehow exhausted. I'm finished. Finished? With what? Tomi-san died long ago. No matter what happens now, my sin. Ayaka-san was always detached when speaking to the headmistress, but now her expression was severe. What do you mean you're finished? Huh? Then what am I supposed to do? Ayaka-san? I've always... She glared at the headmistress, her eyes red, and the headmistress looked down as if trying to avoid meeting her gaze. Ayaka-san's worked really hard. No matter what you say, the result of the grand vote wasn't just because of Rise-san. I love the fact they seem to have skipped over the actual decision of the vote. Yo, it's just... They appear to have just kind of gone, oh yeah, we won. There's that. I appreciate it was it was a foregone conclusion, but at the same time, a little bit of pomp and circumstance. Why can't you accept that Ayaka-san worked really hard? She wasn't doing this to help the school out of its financial problems. She did it to make you open your eyes. Let it go, Masaya-kun. And she pulled my hand back and wiped at the corner of her eye. Let's just go. Are you sure? I looked into Ayaka-san's eyes in concern. It'd be best if we could just settle things here, but Ayaka-san seemed to sympathise, but nodded firmly, nonetheless. She pulled me by the hand out of the room, and Ayaka-san let out a breath as if she'd been holding it all that time. I guess we'll have to go with our little performance. I was worried again. I didn't want Ayaka-san to have to play a role anymore. Please, we all play roles. What's that Shakespeare quote? All the world's a stage and all the men and women in it merely players. Well, I don't know how well it'll go. Rise and I aren't actors after all. Yeah. Don't be like that. Ayaka-san smiled and patted my cheek lightly. This'll be the first and last time, and it's for my sake too. Earlier, she'd glared at the headmistress, red-eyed. I've always... I knew what she was going to say after that. That was how Ayaka-san really felt. Then let's do it the way we discussed last night. Right. Misako received an email from an unknown sender when she came to the cathedral at night. The room was dark, the only light, the starlight streaming from outside. Maybe there was no one here, but that couldn't be. Misako walked silently up the aisle, the footsteps resounding louder than usual, and as she walked, it felt like she was slipping into her own past, slipping into the body of a beautiful young maiden who knew nothing of the world and its hardships. It was a ridiculous thought for a woman of her age. But it was also true that Venices had a mysterious power to keep people locked in one state indefinitely. So much of that, no matter how many years had passed since her graduation, the Venices of memory had a hold on her. Yeah, it's called nostalgia, everybody gets that. She had thought there was no light inside, but there was actually a candle on the altar. Misako felt herself drawn further and further into the past, and the chant de Noël at the end of her second year. That was her fondest memory of her school days. She could still barely believe it. Kori-sama, the most popular girl in school, regarded by all as solid a coal. She'd never even dreamed that such a person would choose her. She straightened up like a shot. Kori-sama! Misako-san. Huh? In the old days it went without saying, but now the sound of her first name had a foreign ring in her ears. Tomi-san. You have always fled from your sin, tried to hide it, just as man in the Garden of Eden tried to hide from the eyes of God. Misako-san, you betrayed your best friend, just as man betrayed God in the Garden of Eden. Okay, that's not quite how that story goes. The serpent, who incidentally in the original version is not Satan. In fact, I think that was one of the earliest known examples of a retcon, where the church elders basically later tried to claim that the snake referenced in the Bible was actually Satan in disguise because they needed a bad guy. But yes, in the original version it's a crafty snake who tricks Eve into eating from it, then she gets Adam to do it, so I wouldn't exactly say it was a betrayal. I mean, okay, there's a long argument to be had, but I'm going into philosophical debates here. Well, not really philosophical, quasi-religious, but anyway. Those who sin must receive punishment. Ah, she's a fan of the Old Testament then. I can never forgive you, Misako-san. That's so, Misako-san. The world that you live in now cannot hold. The world I live in now? As man was chased from Eden, told that dust returns to dust, Misako-san, you cannot remain in paradise. You must leave it and face the truth. Do you understand? Oh. They knocked her out again, didn't they? I was watching everything from the shadows, and the headmistress fell to her knees, suddenly crying silently. Please stop! And for a minute I thought she had opened her eyes. The next words from her mouth surprised me. Please, put an end to this farce. Ayaka-san. so she figured it out. But she was still crying violently, and even Ayaka-san, the master of the performance, didn't seem to know how to react. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Ayaka-san. Mother, I've put you through so many awful things. What? Treating you like a stranger. Forcing you to wear a mask again. And then the headmistress had realised that too. It's true. I've been dreaming for so long. I chose to remain trapped in one place. And Ayaka-san, with nowhere else to go, you learned to play the clown to protect yourself. Ayaka-san looked at the headmistress with such a sorrowful expression that she almost appeared to be a different person from before. You really are the child that grew inside me, that I brought to this world, and I really am sorry. How long have you known? When I woke in my room, when I realised I was crying. I remember the sight of the headmistress standing there, dumbfounded at the wetness on her fingers. Perhaps in that moment she had remembered everything. Why didn't you say anything sooner? I couldn't, because now it's too late. Too late to be your mother. It's never too late, Mother. Tsuko, we're family. It's never too late to start over. Yeah, I don't know. I still maintain she isn't in need of serious professional help. Ritsuko-chan patted Ayaka-san's back lightly, and at her urging, Ayaka-san walked up to the headmistress, tears streaming down her face. Do you think I wouldn't forgive you? Ayaka-san, what I was saying before, those were Tomi-san's lies. I don't feel that way. I've always wanted you. Ayaka. Mom. And their tears continued to flow, as if to wash away all the sediment that had collected in their hearts. All that had built up over those long years was flowing from them. Such beautiful tears. I couldn't help but feel moved. That's the end of chapter 5. Yeah, does it feel like anyone else like they kind of sneezed the grand vote at us and they kind of, oh yeah, that happened, who cares? Final chapter. Into tomorrow! No, Marlock, this chapter's going to turn out to be like 20 parts long or something, just to really make me, Anyway. I never really expected us to win, though, seriously. Yes. I've got to say, it shocked me too. Things were looking pretty bad through the second term. I think we owe this to Miseo-kun too. Why me? You really don't remember why you came to Venice's, do you? You're a sample of what boys are like, remember? Well, that's true, but the fact we had such an excellent boy gave the whole integration thing a real shot in the arm. Well, all jokes like that aside, but I'm serious. Ayaka-sama, most people would say you have a rather biased point of view. But that's why I said it. Honestly. Well, anyway, I think that people just gradually became comfortable with the idea of change. It doesn't happen. People are bloody terrified of change. You know, that's why you get change, fear of change, let's face it, that's the reason you get people arguing that, oh, technology now is too dangerous and all that malarkey. Or you get the classic, oh no, we shouldn't allow civil rights for this group because we haven't had them before. That's just fear of change. The idea that we should keep things the same because tradition loosely translates to, I'm bloody terrified of what this could mean. Because let's face it, human beings fear the unknown. That's what the fear of death's all about. We have no idea, and regardless of your religious beliefs, you don't know what is on the other side of death. That's why it's so damn scary. Even so, there were many people who were still undecided And I suppose it was Ayaka-sama who gave them their final push. So, I think it's Sister who deserves the credit. What do you mean, credit? We just lost. Even so. Despite Mitsuki-san's rebukes, Ritsuko-chan looked very happy, and I understood how she felt. Before, Ayaka-san was seen as an outcast by most of the school, and Ritsuko-chan had always hated it. So this news must have made her very glad. Ayaka-san wasn't an outcast anymore. On the contrary, she was rather well respected, and I was proud of her as her boyfriend. But I'm really happy to know we'll have boys coming to the school next year. Next year? Well, it was kind of awkward being the only guy at an all-girls school, so... No, I understand that, but... Next year? Huh? I blinked, completely unsure of what she was talking about. Rai-san, did you fail to tell him? Oh? Rai-san tilted her head and looked around at the others questioningly. Oh, now you mention it, I never did tell him. About what? I don't actually know what you're talking about. Masaya-san, there probably won't be any boys next year. Huh? I stared in disbelief and I felt like my world had been turned upside down. You really didn't know, did you? Yeah, well, think about it logically. It takes a little while for... a school like this takes... I expect the entrance procedures, i.e. how much money have your family got, probably take a while. Yeah, they've got to make sure the accountants know what's going on. Yeah, seriously the first I've heard of it. I nodded quickly, and Rai-san and the others smiled at me apologetically. I'm so sorry, I just assumed someone else had told you. Me too. So did I. And I. Me too. As did I. I am the same one, Asama. Why? What's going on? After all, we just made the decision to integrate yesterday. We only have 1 month until the new term begins. It would be physically impossible to overturn everything in such a short time. 1 month? Seriously? Jesus Christ, our summer holidays are 6 weeks long, and that's our big end-of-year break. Yeah, that's true. If they wanted more boys to come, they'd need to add bathrooms and such. There was no way they could get all that ready in just 1 month's time. So, when will the boys start coming? The year after next, of course. We'll have graduated by then. I see. And the minute I heard that word, graduated, the question of whether or not there'd be boys or not became the last thing on my mind. And Ayaka-san noticed my eyes on her, and I smiled cheerfully. Don't worry, Masaya-kun. Next year, you'll have all the flowers you can pick. Hey now! Now that Ayaka-san had patched things up with her mother, I become conscious of her looming graduation next month. I'd be saying goodbye to her. And I could still see her anytime I wanted to, but it's not like we were saying goodbye for good. I'd just be lonely without her. But that's still how I felt. The meeting broke up, and since Ayaka-san and I didn't have clubs, we returned to the dorm together. Hey, can I come by your room today? Oh, sure. My voice squeaked a little, unintentionally. I'd spent so much time worrying about her mother, the mood had never quite been right for... that. Yesterday was family time. I feel like I really neglected you. That's why I want to spend all day with you today. Yeah? What are you so nervous about? It's just, it's been so long. Been so long since what? You know what I'm talking about. Ayaka-san prodded my shoulder happily. I was so surprised about yesterday, though. I never thought I'd get Mom to agree to it. Now that the estrangement was behind them, Ayaka-san no longer referred to her mother so formally. Agree to what? You know, leave school, have a meal at the Papatoa Moon Rock. It's not that serious. Maybe it's not, but think about what she's been like all this time. Can you imagine her breaking the rules like that? Well, that is true. But yesterday, she didn't say a word about it. She really seemed to have fun. I've really never seen her like that before. An almost nostalgic smile appeared on Ayaka-san's face as she recalled the events of yesterday. It's like she's shaken the demon off her back. She really has changed. Yeah. I've changed too. So's the school. You really are Venice's, and our, messiah. Did she just call him a messiah? Because that seems to be overstating things just a teensy bit. After class, Ayaka-san and I spent the whole day together until the sun went down. It meant we'd skip lunch, of course, so my stomach let out a growl. In a month, I'll be saying goodbye to Venice's meals too. It's a mysterious feeling. The people of the lower world eat out all the time, don't they? Yeah, I guess. I almost never eat out. Everything about me has been fostered by Venice's. Ayaka-san, can I break the rule you said earlier? Not talking about your graduation. She'd set the subject off limits before. I really will feel sad. I've been trying not to think about it, but it's time for a shocking truth. I don't have enough credits to graduate. That's not funny. Sorry. Well, you know, I'm sad about it too. Ayaka-san put her hand on my back, and I looked up at the ceiling. It's possible, but it'll be harder for me to see you after this. That's not everything. I mean, it's been over 10 years. Ayaka-san remained silent for a few minutes, as if to allow the weight of it to sink in. I've lived here since primary course. Whatever I have to say about them, I've lived under the same roof with these people for over 10 years. I think that's a pretty amazing thing. Yeah. The students of Venice's call each other famille, you know? I nodded. Famille means family in English. That's really what we're like. Of course, because of that relationship, that Mom had to suffer so much. But after we graduate, even if we don't necessarily go our separate ways, we'll never be able to live together like this again. It really is a strange feeling. I can't imagine what it'll be like. Will you live with your real family after you graduate? Yeah, there's no reason for me to live alone anymore. Apparently she'd intended to move out if things with her mother hadn't improved. Well, our house is close by. I joked about it before, but I really will stop by a lot. Yeah. Even so, the truth was, we would never share school life together again. Our connection as individuals wouldn't change after graduation. But you never get back what was past. Don't cry. Ayaka-san wiped at the corners of my eyes. It was only then that I realised that I'd been crying. I pressed the back of her hand to my cheek and turned my eyes downwards, breathy sobs escaping my lips. When we had lunch together on Sunday, Mom said something. When she moved on to Venice's Women's University, she was seeing all the same people, but they couldn't recreate that school atmosphere. At first she found it sad too, but I think we've realised that's not something that should change, right? Yeah. There's only one thing I never want to change. Ayaka-san placed her hand on mine, and my tears fell onto that hand. This feeling. Masaya-kun, I love you. Yeah. Me too. No, you have to say it properly. I told you before, I'm very greedy. I need you to say the words properly. I nodded, took in a deep breath, and at last my tears stopped. I wiped off the last traces of them from my face and turned back to Ayaka-san. I love you. The closing graduation ceremony. Okay, this part is now basically at its limit. So I'll stop it there and then we'll immediately go straight into the next part. So thank you very much for watching, and I will see you in the next, and I suspect, final part.